Deck builders are a thing that happens, and it happens to all of us because there are so many of them. And everyone is trying to innovate. They're always adding a spin or a twist or whatever. Like a deck builder where you don't shuffle your deck? What? Aeon's End is a cooperative deck builder for 1 to 4 players designed by Kevin Riley and published by Action Phase Games. The players are fighting to survive and defend their home of Gravehold as they work to defeat a giant video game final boss style monster known as the Nemesis. The game works like most deck builders. You have a starting deck of cards, you buy from a pool of better cards and add them to your deck. You have gems that generate the main currency of the game, Ether. You will use Ether to activate abilities, buy charges to power up your character's special ability, and to buy more cards. As you are buying and playing cards, they go into your discard pile, like any other deck builder, but when your draw pile is empty, instead of shuffling your discard to create your new draw deck, you simply just flip it over, keeping the order that they were set. Even when you play gems and relics to do game effects, you get to decide at the end of your turn what order those are discarded in. This means that the cards that you need will be there when you need them. So basically say you put out some cards to generate Ether, you have them out, you purchase a card from the marketplace, you'll place that immediately in your discard pile, then at the end of your turn, you get to decide what order they will be, knowing that when it's time to get a new draw deck, you'll simply just flip the deck over. And for one, those new spells that you got, they're coming out. Get ready for them. So there's no bad draws or anything like that. You're going to be able to kind of stack your deck to your favor. So you have gems, which generate Ether. You have relics, which are basically instant effect cards that can help you with a variety of tasks. And then finally spells, which is your main way that you attack. So in the game, you're playing as a Breach Mage, and you are using the force that is opening the portals that are bringing these horrific monsters to your world against them. So above your player mat, you'll have a number of breaches. This is where you'll prep your spells to be used in later turns. Spells prepped on open breaches can be stored there and cast on any turn that you wish, but the ones that are prepped on closed breaches have to be cast on the turn after they are prepped. Also on your turn, you can pay the current breach cost to open them, or you can focus a breach to make them cost less to open in later rounds. 2 of your breaches, when they're open, will actually add a +1 damage to any spell that's cast from them. There are also card and player abilities that will help you with this task. You and your fellow Breach Mages have a nearly unsurmountable task ahead of you, but it's about your very survival. You'll be fighting a Nemesis. The game comes with several, with more added with the expansions, the Depths, and the Nameless, which is included in my review here. These are giant, final boss in a video game type characters that hit hard and fundamentally change the game in a way that makes each of them completely separate challenge to defeat. So you build a deck of cards with some monster-specific cards based on the Nemesis you are fighting, and then a selection of basic cards that will attack you in your home of Gravehold. They also can spawn minions and leave out these power cards that will stay out for a certain number of turns and have some sort of persistent effect. These power cards usually have another way to collectively burn some sort of research to make them end early. which you probably will end up wanting to do because a lot of those cards are really devastating. But like I said, every different minion have some specific cards that only you play with them, and that makes them attack you in completely different ways. Turn order is actually managed by a turn order deck, so depending on the number of players, there will be a card for each player and then 2 nemesis cards. That means every round will be completely different. Every round the nemesis will attack twice. You won't know exactly when the boss will strike or who will need to be prepared first, and this adds a lot of tension and challenge and makes teamwork essential. The game is a lot like fighting a boss in like an MMO. Everyone needs to be ready to fill a role or focus on controlling a certain part of the chaos. So as you fight the behemoth before you, you'll be losing health. Somebody will very likely lose all of theirs. When that happens, they become exhausted. The exhausted player will continue to play the game, but with one major exception. If any game effect would deal them damage, instead you deal that damage double to Gravehold. If all players become exhausted or Gravehold falls to 0, they immediately lose the game. If the nemesis has no more cards in its deck, no minions or power cards in play, or if their life is reduced to 0, you've done it! You've won! Now, I could say a little bit more about the rules and a lot about the nemesis specific things that they changed, but I think going into it, part of the fun and the challenge is not knowing what to expect. Like I said, every one of the nemesis will attack you in a completely different way. There's ones that they eat cards in the marketplace, and the other ones, the way they hit you is they do more damage the more of their minions they have out and stuff like that. So all of them work very, very differently, and it really is like playing a video game where you're trying to find the boss's weakness. You get thrown into a situation, the boss is coming at you, and you go, okay, how do we fight this guy? And like I said, it is very much like an MMO. If you don't work together with your other breach mages, you're going to lose. It's as simple as that, and you need to be working fast as well. Time is really of the essence here because the nemesis will never pull any punches. It will be attacking immediately, and you need to have a game plan and work together as much as you can. I will say that the challenge of the game might put some people off. It is very difficult. If you're a fan of games like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, any of those games, you're going to feel at home here. If you find games like that are terribly difficult not to be fun, you might not have as much fun as you could be. But the way I see it is there's difficulty in games. There's difficulty in games where it almost feels like the game system is cheating. And I never ever felt that way about this game. Anytime that we started doing poorly, it's because we prioritized something incorrectly, or we let something stack up, and then the next thing that happened compounded on top of that, and it made a situation that, even though it seemed impossible, we were able to usually figure out a way to mitigate the damage. There's a lot of cool things you can do. There's a lot of team things you can do. If you're setting yourself up for those things and planning ahead, it usually will work out pretty well. We did have a turn, though, where we thought we had the perfect plan, and then the turn deck completely ruined it because nobody went in the order that we wanted, which made for an interesting dynamic. It made the game more exciting. So I would say if you're looking for a co-op game, if you're the person who thinks a co-op game, you should be able to, once you figure it out once, you want to beat it over and over and over. Maybe this game isn't for you, but the way this game works and the way that all of the different nemesis work completely differently throws the replayability of this game through the roof. There's a good chance that you won't beat a nemesis on the first, second, third, fourth try. You're going to want to sit there and you're going to have a goal for yourself to finally defeat that boss. And when you do as a group, it's going to be such a satisfying ending. Sometimes I feel like cooperative games, you don't have a satisfying ending. You kind of just play the game. Mechanically, everything works in your favor. And then you win. You go, all right, cool, we won. Next game. This one's going to feel like a victory when you do finally beat the boss that you've wanted to beat, and you finally do it, and you're just going to be, yeah! I mean, this is the kind of games that after you played around and you either won or lost, you talk about what happened during the game like it was really happening. It turns into more of an experience, and that's what you look for at the table, right? You are looking for unique experiences that maybe don't happen in other forms of media, so this is the type of game that does that. One of the coolest things this game does is it makes it really easy to jump into and play. A lot of the time, there's a lot of setup, or especially when you first try to play the game, there's a lot of cards to sort through. I'm talking about you, Legendary. This game's really clever in that they packed the cards and then gave you a setup sheet. So before you open any of the packs, it tells you exactly which ones to open and which ones to do the setup for your first game. It's a small little detail, but it makes it really easy to jump into because Sorting a deck builder like this is a lot easier to do once you know how to play the game, so you know how to put cards together. So this ensures that before you unpack anything, you open the box, you do exactly what the setup sheet says, you open exactly which ones they tell you to open. Everything's already pre-sorted for you. It makes it really easy to jump into the game for the first time. It's super cool. I want every deck builder to do this now. I highly recommend it. I know I might seem a little biased because I do really like deck builders, but this is a very, very good deck builder, and I'm looking forward to more content and more things. And the theme is really good, you guys. Spend some time reading the flavor text. There's a lot of it. There's backstories for every monster. There's backstories for every breach mage. Check them out. It's really, really well written. It's really, really well done, and I really, really enjoy it. So, Aeon Zen, I highly recommend. Definitely look for this in retailers. It's gonna be a big deal. So check it out. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed my review here. I got way more stuff coming your way. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, tweet, twat. I don't know, whatever you kids do on the social medias. Thank you so much.